There was no evidence that fines reduced COVID cases in Scotland, the police advisor has said. We're going to read into this more from Open Democracy, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from Open Democracy with the headline that there was no evidence that fines reduced COVID cases in Scotland, the police advisor said. A policing expert has slammed Priti Patel's claims that fining people for lockdown breaches helped stop the virus spread. Just before I give my initial thoughts, make sure you hit the like button and share across social media so other people are notified of this video, you guys. So, obviously, I'm still getting my head around what was COVID like. Yeah, for those in Scotland, I'm still reading into it. But I wanted to talk before we go and read into this a bit specifically about the fines that the police were issuing more broadly. And the question, of course, was it actually helping people? Was it really deterring people? Was it really making a difference when it comes to reducing COVID cases? You know, issuing these fines. I'm going to look at it from a more broadly sense, not just from Scotland's perspective. And I honestly don't think it was. I don't know if it really was. And it was very hard for police to keep on top of it anyway. I think people were being very sneaky for some cases. I think some people were looking to get around it as well. And to be honest, I mean, obviously, I can't speak for Scotland, but in England, obviously, police numbers are not as high as they used to be, and for them to be able to try and police something as like this is an impossible challenge for them to do so. Now, obviously, a police advisor is saying that there's no evidence that the fines reduced COVID cases in Scotland. Now, whether they did or not, we'll read into it in a moment. But I think the question that I would like you guys to ask me in the chat, wherever you are in the UK, or even in these different parts of the world if you're watching this, do you think that fines reduced COVID cases? Do you think they made a difference to saving lives? That's the question I'd like you guys to answer in the comment section down below. So there is no evidence that issuing people with fines or supposed lockdown breaches helped reduce the spread of COVID-19, a Police Scotland advisor had told the UK COVID inquiry. Susan McVie, a professor of quarantine criminology at Edinburgh University, criticised the UK government's mantra around on-the-spot fines that were disproportionately given to people from ethnic minority backgrounds. Once again, here we have discrimination simply because of based on the colour of their skin, again, or their nationality. It makes you wonder how many white British people were fined for breaching the rules. Does make you wonder that, doesn't it? She said the then Home Secretary Priti Patel specifically said that the use of enforcement would help reduce the spread of the disease, protect the NHS and save lives. I think it was kind of a false impression to link that kind of public health impact with enforcement itself. McVie, who sits on several Scottish Government committees, added that there's an inherent inequality in the use of fixed penalty notices, FPNs, fines handed out by police officers without the need for anyone to go to court. She explained a fine of £60 for a government minister that might be a small amount of pocket change. That might be quite a large amount of money for someone who is experiencing financial hardship. Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak were among the 50 people issued with FPNs for attending lockdown breaking parties in Downing Street. The inquiry was shown from a report from McVie wrote that found that people from ethnic minority backgrounds were nearly 1.5 times more likely to receive FPN than white people. Black people, who were the most disproportionately affected, were 1.8 times more likely to be targeted. I hate saying this, guys, but we shouldn't be surprised that black people are more targeted than white people. I hate thinking and saying that, guys, because it's just the absolute truth. I know you guys are going to say in the comments it's true that black people are more disproportionately stopped than white people. We know that. It really grinds my gears when we think about it as well. And it's just, why can we not start treating people on a level playing field? It's just not good enough on the police. FPNs impacted disproportionately on people more deprived backgrounds And individuals from certain social groups, McVie continued, adding that a formal warning could have been used instead. Yes, I think that being caught out and then being told off by the police officer would have been a lot more intimidating than actually just on the spot slap fine. I think that would have been more better. A little bit of compassion as well. Like I think that kind of sways me a lot more. In her witness statement, McVie also drew attention to the fact that more than 250 FPNs were issued to children in Scotland between March and May 2020. The decision to issue FPNs to those breaking lockdown restrictions went against the prevented trend in Scotland. McVie told the hearing, police in the country have been moving away from the issue on-the-spot fines in the years prior to the pandemic. The UK's COVID inquiry is currently focusing on how the Scottish Government handled the crisis. Giving evidence in today's hearing, McVie further criticised some of the regulations in place to stop the spread of the virus, which she described as absolute gobbledygook. It was not always clear to either members of the public or case officers themselves that was a breach of the law, and it was merely a breach of the guidance, she said. The Scottish Government's decision to implement restrictions without consulting police officers also caused problems, McVie told the hearing. There was at least at one occasion I remember that regulations had been intact before the police even saw them. She added, it was a frustration of senior officers. Yeah, it's very frustrating when the police are not fully aware of when changes occur. It causes problems when you've got a police force with over 17,000 officers and you have to rule out training and instructions to frontline officers who are going to go out and implement these new regulations. The inquiry continues. Open Democracy has got a fundraise. There's a fundraiser there to help support the work of Open Democracy. They do have some great articles, Open Democracy, if you guys want to check them out. So, what do we think? I mean, was it? My final thoughts is that maybe I'm kind of into this agreement that perhaps maybe police forces giving on the spot fines and perhaps simply just a telling off, being there, catching them out and saying, look, like people's lives are, and just simply reminding the public, American members who are being dodgy in that, and reminding the members of the public, hey, look, people are dying because of this. You know, you need to understand that people's lives are at stake here, and you need to follow these rules to protect lives. That kind of thing. The vast majority of people, not just Scotland, but the vast majority of people in the UK would understand that if you put it to them in a compelling and compassionate way, instead of just slapping them with a fine and just saying, and just telling them off, a little bit of compassion and understanding, and people who wanted to just go and see maybe one or two relatives and all that, I think that would have been a little bit more helpful. However, obviously, if that same person was caught again, then you would obviously issue the fine, because then they're intentionally trying to break the law here. But I think on this, a little bit of compassion was probably more needed, if I'm honest. Priti Patel saying, we don't know that for certain, but what do you guys honestly think? Yeah, is we don't know for certain if fines actually reduce COVID cases. I think I can't give you a straight answer on that. But what do you guys honestly think? As I asked at the start of the video, guys, I want you guys to tell me in the comment section, do you think actual hitting on the spot fines from the police officers during the pandemic, did it actually help reduce cases? Or do you think we should have been more compassionate with people when it comes to being caught out with them? But would you also argue that perhaps it depends on what the circumstances is? Like they've been walked out and about for too long maybe, and they haven't been too much in. Obviously, would you have a different approach if the police officers caught a party, like a rave, obviously, with like 30 kids or whatever? What would your approach be on that? There's lots of different scenarios of whether they should or shouldn't have had fines. What do you guys honestly think? I think if they got caught out in a raid, like a house party or whatever, I think fines needed to be issued then, because, like, you know what you're doing is wrong there. That to each to their own case is what I think it is. So guys, if you found the video interesting and informative, please hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me in the work I do here, you can join the YouTube membership for just as little as 99p here, or join Patreon for exclusive content. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.